లక్షణములు పద కవితా రక్షణములు వివిధ కుక విరాజీమత సమ్మోక్షణములు వెంకటపతి వీక్షణములు వెంకటపతి వీక్షణములు తాళపాక విభూషత పదములు
Now to the fourth verse, the final of the four verses, composed by Chinna Thirumalacharya in praise of Talapaka Annamacharya's verses. Lakshanamulu padakavita rakshanamulu vivida kukavirajimada sammokshanamulu వెంకటపతి వీక్షణములు తాళపాక విభూషత కవితలు. So, lakshanamulu, meaning the typology, the character of verses. Padakavita rakshanamulu, the padakavitva, or the nature of poetical verse composition. Rakshanamulu, protection. So the verses of Talapaka Annamacharya are typical examples of very good expertise in crafting verses, and they protect the art of crafting verses. Therefore, Vivida Kukavirajimada Sammokshanamulu. Sammokshanamulu, to cleanse. Kukavi, not so good poet or verse writers. Kaviraj, those who think they are good, those who think that they are kings, Raja, of Kavi, of poetry. These verses clear that illusion and they cleanse the illusion that the other poets are keeping to the high standards. So such are the verses of Talapaka Annamacharya, and they are blessed by Lord Venkatesha. The grace of Lord Venkatesha has fallen on these verses. And the best of Talapaka Annamacharya's verses are those that demonstrate these qualities. Vibhushata Kavitulu. So in my choreography here, I have gone in for Lakshanamulu, Padakavita Rakshanamulu. I open up books, I read the books, I compare the verses written by Annamacharya, and they match. What the theory talks about as very good construction, as very good verses, they're all reflected in Talapaka Annamacharya's works. So that's how I paint a picture of the Padakavita Rakshana. Vivida Kukaviraji Mada. So Vivida, various. So I'm looking at all the different poets who have assembled and whose work is not good enough. There are flaws in the work, and that's shown up, that's cleansed by the works of Talapaka Annamacharya once that is put to the fore. So my picture is that of a congregation of a variety of poets whose work has some flaw or the other. And in comparison to that, I say these are the ones that cleanse the flaws of that work. So these are reference points. In the first verse, we saw them as reference points to singers and musicians, and now we're seeing them as reference points to poets as well. So such is the greatness of the craft of verses embedded in Talapaka Annamacharya's poetry. And the final section, the final focal point, is that of grace. So how these verses have been blessed by Venkatesha. And that's what I depict in the third focal point, and that I use to create the full picture of this verse. So at this point, I have to say that the process of looking at the word-to-word meaning, thinking about how these different verses connect, and thinking about the whole context of the verse, as well as thinking about the history behind these verses as well, has helped me understand and engage with it better. And in this process, I have engaged not just with my prior knowledge and with some current work, research, but also conversing with different people. My thanks to Shanti Aripirala, who has helped me with the verses, who then contacted others when she had a specific doubt about the breakdown of compound words and what meanings that they would convey. So it is a deep and long process, which with experience, gets shorter and shorter. Now, when choreographing for an Abhinaya piece in Bharathanatyam, there are some terms that often dancers come across, and one of the most important ones that is stressed upon is the concept of sthai bhava. So what is the sthai bhava in this choreography of mine? The sthai bhava here is a vismaya or wonderment, and the corresponding rasa to the bhava is the rasa of adbhuta, the admiration that comes from something that is wonderful. So to build on that structure, if you go in the reverse order, how can I create the sthai bhava? The sthai bhava always is accompanied by sanchari bhavas. So while sthai bhava, sthai meaning permanent, sanchari on the other hand is transient or transitory. So I can build certain pictures which are fleeting or which occupy a less amount of time, but which goes to contribute to the depth of the sanchari bhava. So for example, in the choreography that I have just done and I'm talking to you about, at one point in the second verse, I talk about durguna ghanabhanjanu, a bad habit that's then strongly struck down. So here I take the help of a physical phenomenon, a picture. So I refer to a drunken house, a very drunk person. So that is my vibhava, a physical construction that will give me an experience, anubhava, that will lead me to build the sanchari bhava that then helps solidify and go towards the construction of the Sthai Bhava. So I find it very useful to review my choreography through the theoretical steps and the processes. Of course, these are relatively, reasonably fluid and flexible. There is quite a lot out there. Bharata's Natya Shastra is an obvious starting point for many dancers, including Bharatanatyam dancers. So Bharata talks about 41 bhavas, which include both Sthai and Sanchari bhavas. But there are others that have followed Bharata's work. In the last 2000 years, there have been a number of works. Vishwanath Thakura has written on bhavas. I did a project on Rasamanjari by Bhanu Datta. Again, experimenting, exploring and expanding since the time of Bharata's Natya Shastra. But there also are critical thoughts around this construction of vibhava up to the creation of a rasa. One work that comes to mind is the work by Dr. Rakesh Gupta, the psychological basis of rasas, and he discusses that, and in the final chapter points to rasa doshas, or the flaws and mistakes in how we conceptualize that path to rasa. It's very enlightening because it also picks out the debates and conversations that have taken place on rasas, on bhavas since the time of Bharata's Natya Shastra up to the modern time, which we all can be responsible for. So with that, I'll conclude this glimpse into my choreographic process. So I finished one specific item. I'm going to go on to do a second one, which is a follow-on to this, which I may or may not take you through the choreographic process. But both these are going to be combined as one performance on this coming Sunday in London at East Ham Mahalakshmi Temple. The reason I mentioned the second item that I'm doing is because choreographing the second item is, in this case, linked to the first item. The second piece that I'm going to be performing is Okapari Kokapari by Pedda Thirumalacharya, who is the father of Chinna Thirumalacharya and who is the son of Annamacharya. So together, Annamacharya, Thirumalacharya, Pedda and Chinna form the Thalapaka poets. So it's something that I haven't done before, linked two pieces in this manner. So my choreography of the second one would be linked to how I have created a rasa in the first one. Okapari Kokapari is a piece that is a Shringara piece, and it's very subtle, very beautiful, and let me see if I can do a choreographic process video for that as well. With that very long conclusion, well, I hope you've enjoyed and liked engaging and listening to my video on taking you through a choreographic thought process for a Bharatanatyam padam or a Vritam. Thank you.